Our next question is from Eddie. What's something you've drawn inspiration from recently?
What do you got, JR? What's something
What's something I've drawn inspiration from?
Yeah.
So I've been editing, shameless plug for Uranus Attacks right now, coming soon. But I've been drawing inspiration about editing and fixing things with that. And I go back to Family Guy all the time because I think Seth MacFarlane just knows how to hit the comedy just right. So I watch his cuts that he does with like Ted. Ted specifically, the movie with the puppet, but then if I need to get goofy, I'll like just watch some of his episodes for inspiration. But there's so many things that are just goofy and outlandish. So most recently, I've watched Ted again for inspiration about editing.
Nice.
When you're watching it, are you watching it straight through and pulling, or are you like breaking it down in segments and trying to digest it? How do you learn?
Now I break down and I watch the segments from it. But like it's like 10-minute chunk blocks because they'll do a scene and just like the art of taking the viewer from one place to another. There's a lot of different edits that you have to do. Like you have to have the establishing shot and then the angles that you set people up with. But just the way that you edit, whether you let someone else say their line while it's focused on someone else, or you show the camera on them and then you cut to their other person's reaction. There's a lot of intricate things in there. And when you're editing for comedy, there's a specific way to do it. And a lot of it's trial and error. But if you watch other people who have done comedy before, then it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to totally steal that because they stole it from someone else, most likely.
What about you, Spence?
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind is been wrapping my head around the whole content game the last little bit. Here at Live Bearded, we're trying to restructure how we do content. This podcast is one of the ways we're doing that. And so I think, success leaves clues, digesting, learning from somebody else who's doing it. So I've been going down the rabbit hole of different content creators, whether it's personal brands to big brands. There's no one way to do content, right? And so trying to really digest what is best for our brand and how we can really just add value to our customers' lives. 'Cause at the end of the day, it's what we're really trying to do is engage and add value. And so there's some brands, like I love what Black Rifle has been doing with their content and their creative, but there's a lot of others out there that are creating really just phenomenal content. So trying to just go down the rabbit hole and follow these guys and see what's working and then make our unique twist. Because when I look at how we're creating content and all the scripts we're writing, all the things we're doing, it's like I want Live Bearded to be uniquely us and not just a copy and paste of what else is out there. But there's so much inspiration you can pull from what's being done out there. So similar to kind of what you're saying as far as breaking things down. And
so would you want it to be like Black Rifle? Because, I mean, I love Black Rifle, the videos
they're fantastic.
that they make.
Yeah, no, they are uniquely them. And I think part of the reason why they've been so successful is they were just 100% unapologetically authentic to who they are. And they've been able to really rally behind that. So learning from them wouldn't be like modeling their specific content, but how can we find that for Live Bearded and be 100% authentically us as founders, as our team, and find segments and kind of series to kind of represent that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Objectively, we live in a creator-driven economy at this point, right? I saw a survey recently that said most of the 18 to 40-year-olds in our country prefer to buy from a brand that is led by a creator or founders, or they know the principles and values of the company. One of the things that's very interesting is I feel like there's some businesses that they build all of their focus around solving an individual problem. And then there's others that focus on an authentic personality or persona. And the one thing that nobody can compete with you in the sense of like authenticity has no competition because there's only one version of you or me or the Live Bearded or whatever. So it's very interesting, I think, trying to figure out either A, what problem do you want to solve for people, or how can you just really lean into authenticity? Obviously, Black Rifle's done that really well.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned, Ted, and it's like they've learned from previous people. It's not like their strategy, their techniques are like this. They're the only ones doing that style, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
filming comedy is a long history, but it all can be traced back to Buster Keaton and the way that he filmed things. The silent film era and stuff. Like comedy does a lot of things in like wide, big shots, and it all happens in kind of like one motion kind of deal. So you take his camera up and he'd set up the angle just right. He's like, okay, I'm going to jump from this building, grab this post, and this post is going to drop me down across 2 other buildings. I'm going to hit this awning, and then I'm going to fall 3 stories down through like several awnings. But he sets the camera up to capture everything all at once. Yeah. And doing that with comedy, everyone draws inspiration from that. That's what I was getting at. Sorry, that was a long way to
No,
say it.
but it's so true. You can apply that to all different areas, right? It's like there's like the source, and then there's different variations of the source. And a lot of people are saying the same thing, but it's received differently if you say it versus a similar message from somebody different, right? You're gonna resonate with who you are, the values you stand for, and kind of your delivery, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, this is interesting. I don't say this often, but I feel like I've just kind of gone through a period of a lack of inspiration. I'm usually reading a ton of stuff, listening to a ton of stuff. And candidly, about 45 days ago, I just didn't want to fucking pick up another book or listen to anything else. And I really haven't listened or read or studied anything for about 45 days, which is very, very
Are you okay?
unlike me. And at first it was like, where's my motivation? What's wrong with me? And then I was like trying to force it a little bit. And I think we all, if we observe or reflect on our own behaviors over time, we know that we have certain patterns. And one of my patterns is over time, I just get to this place of like, what the fuck am I actually doing with my life? and oftentimes there's this quote that I love. It says, we question all of our beliefs except for the things that we truly believe. Those we never question. And I think those are the ones that we need to question the most because we have the most cognitive bias towards them. And so I've just kind of got into this pattern over my life of ever so often, there's like no specific time frame. Sometimes it's 6 months, a year, 18 months, whatever it is, where I just kind of lack a little bit of luster, if you will. I'm just not super inspired. And it's kind of a signal for me to step back and be like, okay, what the fuck am I doing? And why am I doing this? And why am I doing this and this and this? And I almost run my entire life through the question of why. And I almost have to get reattached or reassociated to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so truthfully, there hasn't been really anything that has inspired me externally. It's more been recently me stepping back from my day to day. I think the reason why this happened is when I got back from my trip in Spain, I was coming into the office every day at 5 a.m. and fucking running harder with work and solving problems and trying to kind of get through some of the challenges we were having at the business. I was putting out more energy or effort than maybe I ever have in my life for probably a 75 to 90 day period in time. And on the back end of that, I literally just got so burnt out that I was like, I have to take a step back and reassess and find that next layer of inspiration, if you will. And I'm right in the middle of that right now. I actually started a brand new training program last night that's got me really, really excited. It's very relevant to some stuff that I'm working through personally. And so for me, typically inspiration always comes from learning something new that I think I can apply in my life and move forward, or a new perspective that helps me kind of reframe why I'm doing something. So I was listening to you guys talk because I was like, I don't fucking think anything's been inspiring me recently. And maybe the answer is just getting clear, like re-clarifying what I want to accomplish personally and professionally, and then validating, okay, yeah, like all the goals, all the things, the journey that I said that I want to go on. Yeah, I still love it. I just got a little tired. I just need to give myself a little bit of that grace to take a bit of a break and then dive right back into it. But I kind of live my life with this. I want to have a marathon mindset with a sprinter's execution. So I want to fucking sprint every day.
So you want the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I want to be able to run the marathon, but I want to do it as fast as if I was sprinting it the whole time.
Yeah. So I'm kind of a weird kid like that. I just have very high expectations for myself, and sometimes I burn myself out. So the way that I've found inspiration recently is actually by giving myself permission to take a step back, to downshift a little bit. I fucking slept in a couple days last week. I was like, just trying to break my pattern. Actually, this weekend, I was like, okay, I know I need to go get some stuff done. And usually I go to one particular coffee shop every weekend. And I went there and they were like, oh, it's reserved, blah, blah, blah. Then I went to this other coffee shop and it was too busy. And I ended up driving all the way up to our old office in North Scottsdale and going to some random coffee shop that I've really never been to before. Because what I realized is I've been in such the same pattern for so long, just every day, same exact thing on repeat, that it really, I lost like that sense of purpose in that. So over the last few days, even the last week, I've totally changed my routine up by giving myself flexibility to try new things. And I think sometimes it's that flexibility to do things in a different way where you get that spark of inspiration again. And so just going to a new environment this weekend, working, I did great work over the weekend in this new spot. And so for me, it's been giving myself permission to chill a little bit, to maybe not be so rigid with myself, and then to try to find some new uniqueness in my routine, going a new place, trying a new restaurant, just doing different things to bring back, I'm like living my life. This is cool. This is fun. To get some, just some diversity or some new experiences.
Yeah. I change up my environment too when I need to find inspiration and things. Because there's nothing less inspiring than looking at an empty screen of a computer and like, what is the first line of this script?
Yeah. When I went long-winded on that, because I think all of us at times get a little bit burnt out, unmotivated. We feel like we've lost that inspiration or that excitement towards things. And for me, I think whenever I get there, what I do is I take a step back, just kind of question some of the assumptions that I'm making. Is this still true? Is this still true? Do I still want to do this? And then I just give myself the space to have a little time to kind of recharge. And then ultimately, I try to do things that I haven't done in a while, things that I love to do. Go play basketball, try something else, go to a restaurant I've been wanting to do. Just simple things that I can do in my everyday life. I got the motorcycle out this weekend, went for a cruise, like just try to do things to break the pattern that I was in to hopefully be able to start a new pattern that I feel more excited about.
Love that. It makes total sense.